Tonight, an homage to that Japanese ham Godzilla, plus a trip down to Bob's basement for an American ham, Bob Burns. This week on The Buzz, the new TV series Sliders puts a new twist on an old sci-fi premise. The movie that unleashed the most beloved of all lizards, Godzilla. It's back to Bob's basement for a fashion show of vintage superhero costumes. And Lori Petty gets smacked, thrashed, and pummeled making the new film Tank Girl.
I'm gonna hit you so hard, your children will be born bruised. Get up! Pal!
Hey Buzzers, come on into Sci-Fi Central. Mike Jarek here. I hate to start the show on a sour note, but I just got a horrible message from a fan here on the online. I guess maybe not a fan. He's kind of a creep. He says, Mike, the only thing funny about you is your hair. That hair can't be real. Why don't you shave your head? Listen, fella, I would only shave my head for Lori Petty. You know, she plays that bald, belching, smart mouth, futuristic, kangaroo snagging warrior punkette, Tank Girl.
With a comic book character, it's like, shut up, I'll do whatever I want, you know, because there's no rules.
Her hair may have grown, but Lori Petty remains as feisty as the larger-than-life character she plays in Tank Girl. Based on the outrageous British cult comic book, Tank Girl is set in post-apocalyptic Australia. The year is 2033. The world is short on water, and conditions are downright miserable. The $25 million feature was shot on location in an old Arizona copper mine. And while Petty claims she was born to play the title character, she was ill-prepared to strut her stuff on a searing desert set in the middle of nowhere.
We were in hell, which is right next door to Alamogordo, New Mexico, where they invented the nuclear bomb. You know, so it was a pleasant place. It was just hot, nasty, stinky, disgusting. You know, everything closed at like 9:30.
He asked you a question, answer it.
Hey, I have 2 words for you. Brush your teeth!
Tank Girl is a clever heroine who manages to outwit the celluloid slime bags rather than outpunch them. But alas, this daring display of brain over brawn didn't release Petty from the rigors of a highly physical role.
I just got beat up every single day, every day. And we were on location, so it wasn't like we were in a controlled environment. We weren't on a stage. We were just out in skis land, and, you know, I'd get thrown off of a tank or pushed onto a grating, and it would just be, you know, I was just beaten.
Petty has displayed her agile acting abilities in outdoorsy fare like Free Willy and A League of Their Own. But Tank Girl was a whole new ballgame. Some of her most challenging scenes involved the vintage 1943 M5 Stuart tank that Tank Girl tools around in.
When I'm laying on the tank barrel, in the semi-chase, and the semi is going, and I'm going, and then the barrel rides up, and he goes, hey, guess we got rid of her. And then my tank barrel comes in, and then you pull back and reveal me laying on the barrel. Well, that was me. Laying on the barrel, moving down this mine. It wasn't movie magic, it was real. And I'm just supposed to lay there and be cute, you know. I'm scared to death going,
Feeling a little inadequate?
I'm just being cute and silly where I'm petrified.
Director Rachel Talalay, an ardent fan of the Tank Girl comic book, spent 4 years bringing the project to the big screen. And though plenty of comic books have been translated into feature films, few have made use of colorful comic visuals like Tank Girl.
The comic book artists I mean, Jamie Hewlett, I think, is an absolute genius. And we felt we could add a lot more humor to the movie if we took advantage of his incredible images and put them throughout the film. And I just wanted to do it in an unconventional way. I mean, everything about Tank Girl is about being unconventional.
Talalay has slipped several subtle references to A Clockwork Orange into Tank Girl as an homage to what she considers a brilliant film. Fittingly, Malcolm McDowell, the actor who portrayed a troubled misfit in A Clockwork Orange, turns up as the troubling villain here.
And so on!
McDowell plays the evil Kesley, ruler of the omnipotent water and power company. When he gets his hand sliced off by the film's mighty marsupial warriors, the Rippers, he's fitted with a super slick cyber arm.
It was generally run with wires underneath it so they could control it. But at one point where I had to do a long shots, they couldn't have any wires, so it was on a radio control, and I think the local taxi cab kept interfering. So every time they'd phone up for a cab, this thing would start. I mean, my God, what? And he goes, I'd look over and it's not me, it's not her. And the guy'd be like this, I'm not touching it. And I'm going, this thing has a mind of its own.
Tank Girl has just blasted its way into theaters everywhere. Just checking some sci-fi news here. My favorite big guy is in big trouble, apparently. The director of the new Godzilla movie has quit because he says the movie, which will have the first main character computer generated, will cost way too much money. Says it's going to cost $150 million. The studio says they won't spend a penny over $100 million. To me, it still is a lot of dough, considering you don't have to pay the lead actor anything. You know, I got to admit, I'm still thinking about that guy that wrote in about my hair. I guess I'm not fooling anybody. This is the wig. You're right. Listen, but straighten up and don't laugh at my hair, or I'll send Mr. G over to your house to slap you around. All this talk about a new $100 million Godzilla film, made by Americans yet, was enough to send us back to the original. Just over 40 years ago, the original Godzilla, King of the Monsters, was brought to life on film. The budget was a sizable one for the time, $900,000. And talk about a blockbuster, in 1954, 10 million Japanese flocked to see it. So why was this monstrous Allosaurus such a hit? First, you've got to remember this was less than a decade after A-bombs were dropped on Japan, bringing an end to World War II. In the first Godzilla movie, Gojira, as he was known in Japan, is awakened from his 100-million-year slumber in the Sea of Japan by atomic testing. The nuclear experience from the war was still so strong for the Japanese that Godzilla became a 400-foot symbol of science and nature gone terribly wrong. The director, Inoshiro Honda, used a restrained approach to the film, often avoiding dialogue and letting the scenes of destruction speak for themselves. Japanese effects wizard Eiji Tsuburaya used his special slow-motion photography techniques to film an actor in a 7-foot rubber suit. The method is so effective that the scenes of the monster leveling Tokyo are pretty amazing, considering they were done 40 years ago. Ironically, both men wanted to make the monster film because they were impressed with the 1930s vintage U.S. film King Kong. Amazed by Godzilla's success, legendary U.S. producer Joseph E. Levine bought the American rights from Japan's Toho Films. Levine decided to Americanize the film to maximize profits here. Instead of using subtitles, he had the film dubbed into English, then cleverly shot new footage with actor Raymond Burr portraying an American reporter witnessing Godzilla's rampage. Critics in the States savaged the U.S. version. And finally, in 1982, the original, unaltered film became available here.
A prehistoric monster the Japanese call Godzilla has just walked out of Tokyo Bay. He's as tall as a 30-story building. And now he's making his way toward the city's main line of defense. 300,000 volts of electricity strung around the city as a barrier.
Armed with radioactive breath and spikes that crackled with atomic energy, Godzilla was the first of 19 films about the creature. You probably can't tolerate many of them by comparison to today's effects standards, but try to catch Godzilla, King of the Monsters. You'll be watching a true Jurassic classic.
This is it, George. Steve Martin signing off from Tokyo, Japan.
We'll discover a closet full of superhero costumes in Bob's basement after this enticing exhibition.
It's time to go to Bob's basement to visit one of the world's biggest collectors of science fiction memorabilia and a guy who really knows his way around a dumpster, Bob.
Okay, Bob, this time, do you have anything like in a superhero? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, yeah, I have quite a few. Come this way.
Now, this costume is actually from the cereal, Flash
Yeah.
Gordon?
Yes,
Really?
it is. Yes, Buster Crabbe actually wore this in 1939.
39.
Yep.
The year my parents were married.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
Wizard of Oz?
yes.
Gone with the Wind?
Great stuff. I mean,
Oh,
everything
yeah.
great happened in 39.
But this isn't very flashy, is it?
No.
For Flash.
Yeah, it's good. It's just sort of a, you know, Alex Raymond designed this stuff, and I think he just sort of kept it sort of simple. He didn't want it to go too far. But this is made out of wool knit, as most of the costumes were in that day, so they're very strong. They could fight in them and do all kinds of crazy things, and they lasted. Well, I mean, look at it now. It looks pretty darn good for 1939.
And when did you get that?
I got this probably around 1960.
Yeah.
That's when I got it.
Now, Captain America, is that also wool?
Captain America is wool knit. It's the same thing.
That's got to be hot. Do superheroes sweat? I mean, do they stink?
Oh, yeah, they do. They stink a lot, yeah. Now, actually, this was Dale Van Sickle's outfit. He was the stuntman that did all the stunt work in this show. And this took a real beating. You can see it's still in pretty darn good shape because he did every fight scene in the world in this thing.
How'd you like to go around all the time with like a big A on your head?
Well, somebody says I have that anyway, but not on
Well, what
my
does that
head.
stand for? Okay.
Yeah, well, we know. Yes. Now, here is one of my favorites in the world here. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
1945. Dave Sharp's stunt outfit that he did all the stunt work in. Here again, it's wool knit again. And the reason that the color is different, you know, it should be sort of an orange like it was in the comic book. Well, the film stock at that time, if you did it like an orange, it would turn black, just so black like women's lips used to look black in the old films. So they had to do this type of color to make it adjust to look like you would say, oh yeah, it must be orange.
I had no idea Captain Marvel was gray, though.
Well, he was. He's old.
Oh.
1945. It takes him a while.
Now, he was kind of nasty, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, he used to shoot guys in the back and throw guys off of buildings. I mean, this guy was a real superhero. He's a man after my own heart. Can't do that today.
Oh, Rocket Man.
That is Rocket Man. There he is. This is it. This is the up, down, on, off. I don't dare touch these.
Isn't that amazing? Look how simple that was.
Absolutely. I mean,
we all should have those on our sternums, you know.
Well, I have one, but I keep it covered.
Really?
Yes.
Kind of for your sex life, yeah?
It helps, yes.
Okay.
But this is the jacket that actually they flew in and did all the stuff in. It's really fun.
What's that made out of? Like
that's fiberglass and stuff. Would you like to try a flight in one of these things? No, I'm not kidding at all. Here.
I could fly?
Just put this thing on. It'll start to help.
Okay, here we go. All right, it's time to get back to the show. Thank you, Bob.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I'll meet you in the basement next week.
That sounds good to me. I'll be there. Oh, man, that poor guy.
Yeah! TV's Beauty and the Beast writer, George R.R. Martin. And Fox TV unveils yet another sci-fi series, Sliders, next. Author George R.R. Martin discovered he had a knack for storytelling when he was an industrious New Jersey youth who wrote and sold monster stories to neighborhood kids for a nickel a pop. And it's all been uphill from there. Since his first story was published in 1971, he's earned kudos from the science fiction world by winning Hugo, Nebula, and John W. Campbell Awards. Horror writers have honored him with the Bram Stoker Award. Though he has written half a dozen well-received novels, the bulk of his work has been in short story form.
I'm a very emotional writer. When I do a story or a screenplay, in some sense, I live it. I really get inside it for a period of time, and have a very intense experience where I'm living it vicariously, and that's hard to sustain over a lengthy piece of work.
Martin's work reflects a genuine interest in different genres. He's written about declining galactic empires, vampires on the Mississippi, and the commercial exploitation of zombies.
I like to do television and film. I like to do different kinds of books. I like to try something that I haven't done before.
Martin's biggest ongoing responsibility is as editor of the hugely popular shared world anthology series, Wild Cards. The series grew out of a role-playing game Martin and other writer friends invented during social gatherings in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And what exactly is Martin's role as editor?
Well, I'm God. Basically, I have to make sure everybody gets the stories on time and referee the fights. I mean, a shared universe is a very complex thing. You have this common background, but everybody has their own character, and each writer is free to borrow the other people's characters in his story. Well, if there is a dispute, it comes down to ultimately to my authority in settling it, and I sort of keep the series on track and give it its direction.
Martin is currently co-writing a screen adaptation for Wild Cards, which brings us to another side of Martin's career, Hollywood.
Certainly there are financial rewards to Hollywood. The amount of money they give you is huge. Also, there are rewards in the fact that you're able to reach a much, much larger audience than you could before.
Martin landed in Tinseltown in the mid-'80s, writing scripts for the updated Twilight Zone series. He then moved on to Beauty and the Beast, where he settled in for the show's entire 3-season run.
Can I lead you through the dark?
There is no darkness, Vincent, when you're with me.
Though his achievements spanned a literary gamut, Martin's basic philosophy of storytelling remains constant.
Stories are about people in conflict, ethical conflicts, moral conflicts, the human heart in conflict with itself. And that's true of science fiction and fantasy and horror as well as anything.
This is Rod Bueller calling from Fort Collins, Colorado, calling to recommend the game Doom from id Software. Doom is a fast-paced virtual reality type game for the PC. Shareware versions can be downloaded off your favorite BBS, and the full registered version is available directly from id Software.
Fine. Then in the interest of science, I suppose I must go along with you for this joyride.
How would you like to flick on your TV and take a cosmic roller coaster ride each week? That's the basic concept behind the new Fox TV series, Sliders. And co-creator Tracy Torme, yes, he's Mel's son, says his series isn't just another sci-fi show clogging the airwaves.
The way that it really differs is that there's no time travel involved. This is kind of a very unique thing. We're going sort of sideways in time. And that's why it's called Sliders. We're going to parallel worlds, parallel dimensions. And so I think that's what makes it unique, is there are no aliens, there's no time travel. I think it's different.
When can we leave?
When the timer recharges itself.
And when will that be?
Maybe soon, maybe never.
Child actor turned Studley Sliders star Jerry O'Connell plays Quinn Mallory. While tinkering in his basement one day, the gifted physics grad student discovers a gateway to parallel dimensions.
Quinn Mallory is very different from myself in the way that he is a quantum physics genius. He is a physics genius. And mathematics and science were really not my strong points in high school.
Getting a grip on the show's techno talk may produce some problems for O'Connell, but he relishes the physical requirements of the role, like toppling out of the wormhole that transports the interdimensional travelers.
I have a lot of fun doing them. It's a lot of jumping around onto pads, jumping off, scaffolds into these big air pillows. So I mean, it's fun for me. And John Rhys Davies, who's also in the show, loves doing it too. And we're just having a great time.
Creating the illusion of a cosmic slide ride through the wormhole has been an evolving process due to swift changes taking place in the digital effects industry. Tracy Torme says it's difficult to stay abreast of cutting-edge developments, but it's worth the effort.
Well, the technology is changing so fast that we're using different technology for the series than we were for the pilot. We try to find ways to do things that are magical and different and interesting without busting the budget. That's the trick, is to find things that we can do that will look good, but that won't cost an absolute fortune. And hopefully this new technology is helping us to do that.
Sliders recently glided into its regular time slot, Wednesdays at 9. Just down the time stream, the guys of Weird Science search the cosmos for the perfect date. The wacky guys of Weird Science go a-courtin' in the cosmos. We'll fill you in on this week's Buzz Best Bets.
What are you using for bait?
On next Saturday's show, the loose-lipped character Chet gets himself into hot water with the women of this world when he spouts one chauvinistic shot too many. and it soon becomes apparent he'll have to go elsewhere to find his next date.
Stand back, puny mortals.
The caring, computerized creation, Lisa, offers to help him out. So Chet's mug is attached to a fishing line and tossed through the vortex. Eventually, a seemingly lovely woman named Allie takes the bait. Of course, Allie isn't all she appears to be at first glance, but we don't want to give too much away. Let's just say, with the aid of makeup effects and digital technology, Allie morphs into something a little less seductive. The episode, which carries the amusing title, Earth Boys Are Easy, airs April 8th at 10 p.m. on the USA Network.
Hi, who's the cutie?
That's this week's Buzz Best Bet.
Happy birthday, dear Susan. Happy birthday to you.
Come on in, join the surprise party for producer Susan Hyman. Here's the surprise, though. Nobody can find her. She's missing. Isn't that weird? But look at this great cake. She will love this when she sees it. Kind of looks like Lucy on Peanuts, but that's okay. A little like Susan. Look at that pink face. We all recognize that. And the Sci-Fi Buzz t-shirt. Let's all have some milk or something. Wait around for her to cut the cake. What do you say? Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, look at this. She is missing for real. If you happen to see her out there, tell her, we've moved. Well, as long as she's not here, let's eat her cake. What do you say?
The mysteries of aliens, the magic of Houdini, the miracles of angels. Now the real stories, people, and events are explained in a thrilling new series, Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles, hosted by Patrick McNee. Coming up next.